Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and this video we are going to be talking about what to do before you begin infinite banking. Now, a lot of times people think they're just going to go out and get a whole life insurance policy. They want to design it with infinite banking structure in mind. I cannot tell you how many phone calls that I get with people telling me they just want an infinite banking policy. Well, I'm here to tell you that infinite banking is not a policy. It's not a product. It's a process, and it's a concept. It's a philosophy. Most of that philosophy I'm in complete alignment with. I am critical about a lot of people who say things about infinite banking like it's all about positive arbitrage, when in fact it's not. I have a lot of videos that go down that path and talk about those topics. That is not the intent of this video. The intent of this video is, what do you do before infinite banking? The challenge is this: if infinite banking is a process, it's not a product, well, what does it take to actually get involved with that process? What does it take to actually start your infinite banking journey? Well, I came up with a couple things that I think we need to do, because when you have a whole life insurance policy, and let's say you set up a policy that's designed to be an infinite banking policy, and if you go out and you set up a structure of a policy, let's call it a 40-60 blend, the classic Nelson Nash policy design, right? If you went out and did 40% base and 60% PUAs, and that was a policy structure that you went with, well, you might think that at that point in time, you are in fact an infinite banker. Well, then, in my opinion, nothing could be further from the truth. Really, there are some things that you have to do to get involved first and foremost, that you have to kind of lay the groundwork, lay the framework for, to make sure that you are able to actually become an infinite banker. Because of the fact that infinite banking is a process, not a product, there are elements of the process that I think are way overlooked far too often, that people just really just try to get around and take shortcuts around, that I think are important to address. So I want to go to the board and I want to talk about this a little bit. I want to talk about this and cover it. So first and foremost, what do we have here? We have the first thing you do, and this is why I call it step one, that you need to do before infinite banking, is manage debt. Now, what does that mean? That means manage debt to optimize cash flow. Now, I did a thing called the Debt Management Masterclass. I will put a link down below, and I will use the end screen to actually allow you to watch this video. And at the end, you can click on the playlist for the Debt Management Masterclass, which is all about helping you learn how to utilize debt to increase your cash flow. Now, if you are somebody who is kind of in a lot of debt, or you don't have a lot of clarity on your cash flow, which is kind of step 1B, is you got to have clarity on your cash flow, because a lot of times people get into these infinite banking policies and they are just not 100% clear on like what their actual free and clear cash flow is that they can put through a policy. The problem is this: the biggest challenge that I have with infinite banking is everybody says it's all about the cash value. Don't worry about the death benefit. The death benefit is a secondary notion. I'm here to tell you that I believe that the death benefit is actually the most important component of your policy. I just am a big believer that as we go through life, if you believe that you are your own best asset, if you believe that your ability to create cash flow is your best asset throughout life, and to create good decisions and investments that create cash flow, well, you have to invest in yourself first. And you have, if you are your best asset, you have to make sure that you insure yourself. One of the things, like, I'm 44. I have a wife, 3 kids who are 13, 10, and 6. And, in that situation, like, looking at my life, what I'm looking at is like, all right, I know what I want my life to be about. Stephen Covey always says you got to start with the end in mind and reverse engineer a plan to get there. Okay, that's fine, right? So what do I want my life to be like when I'm in and on my deathbed and I'm having these final conversations with the people that I love, and I know that I'm going to be drawing my last breath? What do I want my life to be about, right? Like, what do I want people to be remembering me for? What do I want my impact to be? What do I want my legacy to be? What do I want to be able to pass forward to the next generation? And how am I actually going to pull that off? Why is this stuff important to me? And so one of the challenges, one of the things that really gets me upset about the life insurance space right now and the financial planning space in general is like everybody talks about retirement planning. And when we talk about retirement planning, typically what happens is we talk about retirement planning from, whatever age you are right now till retirement age of 65. The problem is that's just this mindset of I'm going to save. And then when I get 65, when I turn 65 and when I retire, all of a sudden I'm just going to have things figured out. I'm going to be able to take this money that I've had. And the problem is now we got to come up with another plan between 65 and death, which is probably going to be about 30 years, 25 to 30 years for the average American who's healthy enough. And if you're living 25 to 30 years, that means you're going to have your money last almost as long as it took you to save it and accumulate it. It's just unrealistic in most situations. So one of the things that we need to really consider at this point in time is retirement planning should not just be from whatever age you are right now till you're 65. It should be all the way until the day you graduate to the next life, whatever your beliefs are in that, right? And so for me, I look to start with the end in mind and say, all right, what do I want my life to be about? I want it to be about impact and legacy. I want to be able to create heritage for my kids, not just inheritance. I want to be in a situation where my kids are not entitled and they don't just get everything, but there are a set of rules inside of a trust that allow them to succeed and give them the resources to succeed as long as they do certain things. We never want to give anybody a free ride. I've seen too many people that are trust fund kids that are addicted to alcohol and cocaine and other detrimental behaviors and have all these challenges. And I've seen too many issues with suicide and just real bad emotional struggles with people who have all this money, but they have no purpose, right? And so the last thing I want to do is leave my kids a boatload of money and ruin their life because they don't know what to do with it. And they don't have, it basically takes away their purpose in life in that situation. And so that to me is a massive deal. And to me, that's one of the things that's important. Now, what happens though on the other side of this, if I die too young, well, then my goals are not going to be actualized in most situations, in most people's lives, unless I plan for it accordingly. So one of the things, this gets me to the point of one of the things that I really believe to be true is that we need to make sure we maximize, I'll just write max, our potential net worth. So the reason I say your potential net worth, life insurance companies will use a different word called human life value. I'm not a big believer in utilizing the phrase human life value because of the fact that basically is a life insurance company associating a value on my life. And I look at value as way beyond money, whereas your net worth is just your money. And so what the life insurance company is saying when they tell you that you have a human life value is there's a mathematical equation that they utilize that says, all right, you are X age and you make X amount of money and you have X amount of debts and you have X amount of obligations with family and kids and so on and so forth. And so typically what they'll say is they're going to give you 20X that equation, right? And so 20X income is the easiest way to put it. And so if you make $100,000 per year, that equals 2 million of potential net worth, okay? And so what they're saying is if you make $100,000 right now, after lifestyle, after expenses and taxes and all these different things, if you invest a fair amount of your money, like let's call it 10 to 15%, if you invest this and save it and get a good return and you do it over a period of time, you should have about $2 million of potential net worth that you can live off for the rest of your life. Okay, that's cool. That is your human life value in the life insurance company's mind. I call it potential net worth because like I just said. Now that said, one of the things that's important is to know that as you start to earn more income, your human life value, your potential net worth goes up. So, we want to maximize what this is, what the life insurance company will give us. You can never be overinsured because of this concept. Think about it this way. All this is saying is if you're a good steward with your money, your income, the resources that you have, you invest or save appropriately, you have the potential to earn this And so to me, if I'm really saying that what I'm doing in this life isn't just about me and my selfish lifestyle and my selfish desires, and I actually want my life to be about something more than me, well, then that means it's my obligation to try to lock in this result. And so I think the biggest thing to the point here with step 2, before, remember, this is all about before IBC or infinite banking kicks in, right? So when we talk about doing things before starting an infinite banking policy, making sure you lock in your human net worth, your potential net worth, and making sure that, okay, we have this in place. All right, so now what am I going to do? I'm going to look at my free and clear cash flow. I'm going to look at my free and clear cash flow. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, how much free and clear cash flow do I have? So if you look at somebody that has, $10,000 a year of free and clear cash flow, the challenge is most infinite bankers will look at this and they'll say, well, let's take this $10,000 and put it into a banking policy, and we need to start saving. And they'll do a 40-60 blend policy, and that will have, that's the base, that's the PUAs. It'll come with a term rider that comes with it. And in this situation, maybe that gets you, $400,000 of death benefit, including the term rider for a period of time, whatever length of time that term rider is, and then it goes from there. My problem with that is now you're looking at a $1.6 million potential net worth exposure on what your goals and dreams are. The reason I like to do it the way that I do it and the way that I teach people is because of the fact that we want to make sure it's a self-completing plan. Whatever I'm doing now, I want to make sure that what I want to happen will happen, whether I'm here to see it or not, right? Like, period. If I'm saving and whatever, working towards my future, the $400,000 is great, but it's by no means close to accomplishing what I want to accomplish. So really what I think you should do is make sure you take this 10,000 and you think about, all right, minus term cost for a convertible term policy. The reason we want to go with a convertible term policy, and this has to be to a participating mutual whole life company, okay? That's what it needs to be. We need to have a convertible term policy to a participating mutual whole life company. And in this situation, if you wanted to get, I'll tell you this, for me, I'm 44 years old. I was able to go out, and I just did this with Lafayette, okay? I wanted to get another $2 million of term, okay? So I went and got $2 million of term. That $2 million of term cost me, at 44 years old, $1,440 per year, okay? Now, in that situation, I'm looking at this. So what I would do is I want to make sure that we lock in and we figure out what is $2 million, if that's my number. And ironically, that's kind of in the range of, if you earn $100,000 a year, that's the max they're going to give you. And so I just did this so it actually kind of works out, even though it was additional coverage. But I did this because I wanted to lock in my insurability. I'm 44. I got a 15-year, or I think it was a 10-year convertible term, actually, because I plan on converting this to more whole life as I go, right? So what I'm doing here is now I would do 10,000 minus the 1440. So we'd go 8560 per year. And then this is basically what I would start the banking policy with. Now, it's not that clean. It's a little different. You got to get with your agent because what will happen is, obviously, when you buy your whole life policy, if the max insurability you have is $2 million, what will wind up happening probably is this will get you like $200,000 of coverage, and then you'll have 1.8 million of convertible term. And so then you start your banking system. And then as you want to expand, so you have your $1.8 million of term. And with that, this is going to make sure that your goals of what you want your life to be about are accomplished. It's going to protect your family. So we're just going to write protection in the meantime if anything doesn't happen. And it's completely convertible. Like, what happens if you become uninsurable over the next 10 years, which happens all the time? You lock in your insurability for your ability to actually keep the banking system process going. Most of the time, people don't get that in place. They just get this one policy and they're told, just do more later. Well, if you don't get this locked in, well, then there's no guarantee you'll be able to do it later. All right, so as we look at this, one of the things that I want to say as I end this video and kind of land this plane is the fact that it's not infinite banking until you have the foundation built. Furthermore, it's not infinite banking until the banking policy that you actually design and do is like capitalized, so you can leverage the money, so you can deploy the money, so you can utilize it to invest in real estate, invest in a business, invest in something else to create more cash flow. Maybe you're going to do private lending or something of that nature. It's not banking until later. At the end of the day, when you do the policy, remember, we have different stages that you're going to go through. You have the pre-banking policy, right? So you have the pre-policy, which is what we just talked about. You need to figure out like what is the process here. Like, this is where you want to get your debt and all the things that I just talked about. And then you have the fact that you have your policy set up. So you have your banking policy. You have to buy the whole life policy, right? You have to buy it, and there's no doubt, but it's still not a banking policy. When you first start, it's not a banking policy until you can deploy it. And so this is why I talk about financial structure so much. At first, your banking policy is just an emergency fund. That's how you should look at it. Only after you have your emergency fund capitalized, then you can go and create an opportunity fund. This is what I call an opportunity fund is where infinite banking lies, when you start to deploy for opportunity, right? That is the key. Before that point in time, it is not a banking policy. It is just a financial foundation to your life. It's going to help you accomplish all your goals. It's going to protect your family. It's going to protect your finances. It's going to be safe money that's there on the back end of everything that allows you to take some wins, right? Like, as you go through life, you're saving money. You can't compare this to an investment. It doesn't have the same risk profile. It's putting you more in control of all the moving parts of your personal finances that ultimately matter way more, infinitely more than your rate of return that you would get in any investment that you do. The structure is so much more important to your long-term financial success than the actual product itself. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you clarity. If you have any questions at all, please comment in the comment section below. I'll do my best to engage with every single one. Once again, on the end screen here, make sure you check out the Debt Management Masterclass. It's really amazing. I think it's going to add a lot of value to a lot of people. If you know anybody that has debt or looking to get out of debt, or looking to control debt, looking to maybe leverage debt to create more wealth, this masterclass is going to be for them. So check it out. Until next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.